Welcome today. We're here to talk with Matthew Cummings, instructor for the IMC 610 Introduction to Integrated Marketing Communications course, the first course that students will take as they start their IMC journey. Welcome, Matthew.
Thank you. I appreciate being here.
To kick off our conversation, if you would just take a few minutes to tell us about your career history and background, particularly that helped prepare you to teach the IMC 610 course.
Yeah, so like a lot of professionals in our field, I've had a variety of different roles in the marketing communication space. And I think that really helps prepare me for teaching IMC 610, which is a course really where we touch on a variety of different areas in integrated marketing communications. So I started out in broadcasting. I actually graduated with a degree in radio and thought that I was going to be on the radio. That was in the early 2000s when the industry was moving more toward automation. And so shortly after graduating from college, I recognized that I needed to shift and wanted to shift really into more of the marketing communication space. So I started working in public education as a communications director in public education, dabbled in a little multimedia in that, and really finding the IMC program back in 2004 and becoming a student in 2004 and graduating in 2006 helped me move from being trained in broadcasting and interested in radio into integrated marketing communications and marketing, advertising, and PR. And so I held a variety of roles in that space, both working in public education, also in the private sector, spent some time working as VP of an ad agency, as marketing communications director of a regional chamber of commerce, and also spent a few years working on the admin team for the integrated marketing communications program in the College of Media. And more recently, I'm at Erie Insurance, which is a Fortune 500 insurance company across 12 states in DC. And I'm on the marketing communications team, currently working in PR and media relations.
So what makes you passionate about integrated marketing communications?
You know, it's the integration and taking that creative strategy and applying it across all of the different functions. So as I kind of alluded to when I went through my background, there's a little bit of advertising in there, there's a little bit of PR in there, a little bit of creative strategy in there. And what I love about IMC is that as IMC professionals, we're able to dabble in all of it and we're able to integrate across it. And that's really what the intro course is all about. And it's really what gets me up in the morning is being well versed in not just PR, which is my current role, but also understanding the marketing side, understanding the advertising side, and the creative strategy piece, which has really been a blessing for me in my career and why I think IMC is so important.
So you've taught for the WVU-IMC program for nearly 15 years, including 41 sections of IMC 610 to date. Yep. How has IMC 610 changed over the years?
So it's interesting. It has and it hasn't. So IMC 610 is really the introduction to integrated marketing communications, and the focus is on integrated marketing communications planning. So when I was a student and I took this same course, so it's really interesting to teach the same course that you took back in 2004. We did brand research. We identified campaign objectives, campaign strategies. We identified our target audience. We did our creative strategy. We planned within each of the various functions, the objectives, the strategies, and the tactics within those functions. And we evaluated it and buttoned it all up into a plan. That's exactly what we do now. As you mentioned, Chad, right? 41 sections later, 15 years later, we do very similar work. But what has changed dramatically and what continues to change what are those functions? What are those tactics? How do we use earned media to deliver on our creative strategy? How do we use owned media and paid media and shared media and a variety of tactics? That has changed dramatically. The courses from even a year ago look dramatically different than they do now. And I often admit to students on the first day that we update these courses the weeks before they arrive. And because of the way our industry is, they're inherently out of date by the time you get to the fourth week and you're talking about payment because there's something new. So the course, I guess, to answer your question, is different in many respects in terms of the tactics, but it's also that same basic core around IMC planning that is so critical as students advance into future coursework, as they advance in their career, and especially as they approach the capstone toward graduation.
Great. So as an alum of the WVU IMC program and a longtime instructor of its introductory course, you're in kind of a unique position to help prepare students to succeed in their graduate academic journey. What's the first piece of advice that you would give for students that are just getting started in the IMC program?
So two things. First, what I do in my class is I ask the previous section to provide advice for the next section. It's something I've been doing now for several years. And students who just graduated, I just actually wrapped up a course last week. So I asked those students to provide feedback and guidance and tips for the students that will begin in my course next week. And so I would recommend that students read that because it's not in my voice. It's in a student who just recently completed this course's voice. The second piece of advice I would give is just take a deep breath and take this 1 week at a time, one concept at a time, one assignment, one discussion at a time. It's very easy, and I will be honest, 15 years of doing this, I still get nervous. I still get those first day jitters, and I look ahead at the entire scope of the course and all that we will be learning and all that we will be covering, and it's easy to become overwhelmed. But if you take it 1 week, one discussion, one assignment at a time, one concept at a time, it's really manageable. It goes fast, but you'll be surprised at the end, and it never fails. Students are always surprised at the end. Oh my gosh, I never thought I would learn this much in just 7 weeks. And so just take it one step at a time and trust your instructors. We are there to guide you every step of the way and get you to the finish line and have fun doing so.
So thinking about the course itself and some of the topics that you're covering, what do you think are the top 3 things that students will learn in IMC 610 that they can apply immediately in their careers?
So I will say that students coming out of IMC 610 will know how to set good measurable objectives. I've been working in the industry now for more than 20 years, and that can be elusive even to very high level executives. So I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, right? But you know who you are. And so that is number one for students, is coming out and understanding how to set both campaign objectives and objectives within each of the individual marketing communications function. At the end of the day, so that would be number one. Number two, it just provides you with a greater level of professional confidence, in my opinion. Students often tell me that they're now being invited into meetings that they previously maybe weren't. And this is just after the first course. They're better able to understand conversations around strategy than they were, even just a few weeks ago. And so professional confidence in addition to the objective setting. And then the final piece, and it's not really built into the formal curriculum, but I think it's a very important takeaway from IMC 610, is developing that graduate school routine and that structure in your life for success. So a lot of the 610 instructors have been there. Chad had mentioned earlier that I was both a student and I've also taught this course for several years. And so it's our job not only to teach those concepts, but to set you up for success and build that routine and carve out that time in your life so that you can be successful not only in that current course, but also in all of your future courses and all the way up through the capstone. So those would be the 3 takeaways from IMC 610 that I think are important, and that a lot of students say at the end that they got from the course.
So as an instructor, especially one that's taught 41 sections of a course over the years, you've graded an awful lot of papers and assignments. And I guess my question is, in the course now, what's one that you really look forward to? Like what tell us about an assignment that students complete that you think is really good at assessing their knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. So I was trying to do the quick math there when you were talking 41 sections and you multiply that by, 10, 15 students. I would say the creative strategy assignment is really my favorite in the course because it's the first opportunity for me to understand the direction that the student wants to take this campaign and what they're going to integrate across all of the other functions. So in the course, we start out with research, we identify the target audience, we identify our objectives. Those assignments are important, those assignments are great, but it's when we get to the creative strategy piece that I think students really have that opportunity to show, okay, based on what I know of the brand, based on what I know of the target audience, and based on what I want to accomplish, here's how I'm going to go about doing that. And it's really an exciting assignment for me to grade because I can really visualize them taking it and carrying it forward.
Great. So when students are preparing for upcoming courses and certainly later in the sequence when they're planning out their schedules, they often ask about the workload intensity of a course. And this is so they can help prepare themselves and balance their graduate studies with all of life's other responsibilities. On a scale of 1 to 5, with 1 being the least intense and 5 being the most intense, how would you rate the IMC 610 Introduction to IMC course? And then what made you give it that intensity rating?
Well, so I'm going to do a little bit of math here. I'm going to grade the work that students do in IMC 610 at a 3 because it is the introductory course, right? And so we don't dive too deep in to each of these areas because we don't have time, right? These are accelerated courses. And so we're really giving you that foundational knowledge across, brand research, target audience, creative strategy, objectives, all of the tactics. And so from that perspective, I'm going to give it a 3, but I'm going to add 1 there for a total of 4 because it's the first course in grad school. This is all new and this is a new environment. It's for many students a new way to learn. For a lot of students, they might be entering into the classroom for the first time after being away for 10 or more years. They're also now juggling this, unlike they did undergrad, juggling it with a career, juggling it with family and other responsibilities. And so that's worthy of another 1. So I'm going to give it a 4 total.
That's great. So thinking about the course itself, if there was one word that you could pull that would describe like an adjective for what a successful student would need to be in 610, what would it be?
Committed. I would say committed. It's something grad school, especially this course and getting started, is something that you have to do when it's right for you. A student who is committed to the work, who views this as an opportunity to learn and an opportunity to network with other emerging marketing communications professionals and is committed to it will succeed. We won't allow them not to succeed. It's our job, I believe, as an instructor to take a student who's committed to this work and make sure that they succeed. And so I would say that commitment is definitely number 1. I don't know if that's necessarily an adjective.
Well, it might not be, but at least it gives a good sense for how the sort of experience and the sort of preparation the student needs to have in order to start this program really is. I would agree with you. Commitment, and then I would say commitment initially, and then grit throughout to really see it through, because graduate education can be a long journey. I mean, it goes by really quick, but it's a lot at the time. So
And if I could share just a kind of a personal story along those lines, the WVU grad program, the IMC program, was actually the third grad program that I was in when I decided to go to grad school. I was in two other graduate programs. They weren't necessarily the right fit, and so I didn't have that level of commitment. So I was committed to getting a master's degree because I knew that I wanted to do that. I was committed to shifting away from broadcasting into marketing communications because I knew that I had to do that, but I wasn't necessarily committed to doing the work necessary to succeed. And so it wasn't until I found the right fit and got into the program that that commitment became more natural for me. And so that's definitely why that word stuck out at me when you asked that question.
So, Matthew, what do you think now defines you as an instructor?
Boy, that's a great question. I guess you'd have to ask students that question, really. For me, responsiveness. If I just look back at student feedback for me and what students have said, I would say responsiveness is what defines me and maybe differentiates me, not from other IMC instructors, because we have a really high level of responsiveness, but I would say online education in general. I have a lot of students who say, yeah, I took a couple online courses. I'm just kind of unsure of that when I was in undergrad, or maybe right now, and after COVID-19, they have students at home who are, in these online classes and they're struggling through them, even maybe their own children. And so I would say that that's something that surprises a lot of students at the end, is the level of responsiveness. I'm definitely one where you send me a message, I'm going to respond to it within a few hours because I've been there. And I know what it's like as a student to be waiting on the other end for an answer so that you can finish that discussion or finish that assignment. And so I would say responsiveness, and just being relatable and casual. Here I am, right? I'm in a hoodie to do this. Just being casual, relatable, and responsive to students is something that I strive to be.
Great. So what's been your favorite aspect of teaching in WVU's online marketing communications graduate programs?
That's easy. Meeting the future of our industry, every single class, and being able to get them on the path toward both academic and career success. My network of IMC professionals after doing this for 15 years is incredible because of my students. And I love following their careers. They are working for impressive brands. My hope, and I know I sound like a dad in this, right? But my hope is that the students have better jobs than I do when they graduate from this program. And many, many, many of them do. And that's just amazing to see them working at huge brands, Coca-Cola's, Amazon's, and doing great things. So that's definitely my favorite part of teaching and my favorite part of the IMC program. If I could add a second piece to that, I would say diversity of our students, the diversity of their experiences, the geographic diversity that online education can provide, right? My class isn't defined by those who can drive to Morgantown. My class is worldwide. I looked at my upcoming roster and they're all across the country, and I can't wait to meet them.
That's great. Well, is there anything about the IMC 610 course or the program that I haven't asked that you'd like to share to help an incoming student getting ready to start this journey, prepare themselves?
Yeah, so two things. First, in this world, every seat is a front row seat. And so take advantage of that fact, engage in the discussion board, network with your colleagues. I hate to see when we have a course of 15 students, there's varying levels, obviously, of people who take advantage of the ability to network with others. Some do their work, they engage in the discussion, but they don't really take the opportunity to build relationships. And I just mentioned a few questions ago about how my network has grown as an instructor. And for our students who are going to be in IMC 610 and then move throughout the program and meet other students as well, the chance to grow your professional network is certainly important. And then the final piece is just know that your instructors are here to help. We take no pleasure in giving a student, a B or a C or a D or whatever. We are here to help. I would love nothing more than for every student to earn an A in the class. And so reach out to me when you have a question. Help me help you succeed on each assignment, each discussion, in each course, and throughout the program. That's really why we're here. That's our role. And so take us up on that.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Matthew, for providing insight on the IMC 610 experience for our students. Thank you.
This was great. Thanks for the opportunity.